Hey, what's up? This is my top 5 list of how I got better in Age of Empires 2. This is a very personal list, and some of these things might not apply to you at all, but maybe you can draw some good advice from some of it. Number 4. Quit when you lose. Now, I don't mean quit the game, but I mean don't hop into another game after a loss if you feel bad about that loss. It's natural to want to end a session on a high note with a win, but after a loss, at least I feel kind of down. I am keen on revenge against the world, but at the same time, I'm usually not going to play very well. It's just going to be stacking loss upon loss when I'm trying desperately to get my elo back. Go for a walk, take some rounds around the house, do some dishes, do something else, process the loss, preferably learn from it, come back later, stronger, and more ready to play. Number 3, fix your hotkeys. Very specifically, I had for the longest time not bound the select all town centers hotkey, and that was really hurting my boom. I had to cycle through town centers to produce villagers, like in the olden days, and I was really not taking advantage of the new Definitive Edition hotkeys. I tried at some point to fix it by replacing the select home hotkey with select all hotkeys, but that's not a good idea. You still need your hop to home hotkey. But also binding the select all hotkeys, for me, changed especially the boom significantly. This might not be the hotkey that you're missing, but I bet your hotkey setup is not optimal. So change it, make it better, and then practice. Don't change your hotkeys and then hop into a ranked game. Play some single player games, or a practice game against a friend of yours, where all you need to focus on is fixing your hotkeys. And then get the muscle memory, and then you can come in stronger and better prepared in the next ranked game. Number 2, make production buildings. Now this is probably obvious, and most of you probably know very well that this is something you should do, but I bet a lot of you don't do it to the degree that you should. At least I still have to improve on this, but I've gotten better. When I reach Imperial Age and I float 1500 wood, then make 10, 15 buildings of the type you need to actually...
I have a big unicorn.
One honorable mention before we reach number 1, and this is not reaching the list, not because it's not a good enough advice to reach the list, but more because it's not one of my why I've improved, just because I haven't done this enough. Maybe I will more in the future, but it is practice. I'm trained as a teacher, and I know from teacher training that anytime you want to learn something and get better at something, it's important to have a clear distinction between practice and peak performance. You don't want to practice in a highly competitive environment. That leads to suboptimal practice conditions. So whether you play against AI or you have a buddy you can practice with, which is clearly the best way to do it, have some sessions of practice that is not ranked. You can test strategies, sure, but also just to test the actions that you know you have to go through every game, and in a quote-unquote safe environment. It's just good practice. Number 1, get enough sleep. Us Age of Empires players, we're mostly millennials, zoomers. We famously don't sleep enough. Age of Empires is a game where focus and the ability to multitask and think on the fly is extremely important. If you don't sleep enough, there's no way you can perform at your best. I've put in sort of a concerted effort to go from 4 to 5 hours of sleep a night to 6 or 7, and I'm playing much better. So there it is. My top 5, how I got better in Age of Empires.